AI text-to-image tools are incredibly powerful and could create loads of digital products already. There was one area that they completely failed at, and that was logos. The problem with Midjourney and similar AI tools is they all create bitmap images rather than the vector images that are needed for logos. This meant that you were too limited to realistically create usable logos using these tools. They weren't scalable or editable enough to be competitive with handmade vector assets, until now. I found a way to convert images that Midjourney creates into high-quality vectors using another AI tool, and it's completely free right now. Honestly, this is going to completely change the logo industry. Logos are now much faster and easier to create using these tools. I'm going to take you through the whole process, but first, let's just make sure we understand the problem quickly. Most images on the internet are what's called bitmap images. This is essentially lots of little coloured squares called pixels put together to make an image. This is what Midjourney creates and is what most of the images you've probably seen in your life are. This goes for JPEGs, PNGs, and GIFs, to name a few. However, there's another type of image called a vector. Rather than individual pixels, this type of image essentially saves the data of the shapes of the image, and this means that it's infinitely scalable and editable. This is great for logos, but doesn't work for photos as it can't handle that many colours, and it can't be animated, so it can't replace a GIF. But for logos, large print designs, and animated graphics, vectors are the industry standard. And until recently, converting regular images into vectors was extremely difficult. Adobe Illustrator does have a way to do this, using its tracing feature, but the results aren't particularly good in my opinion, the process is slow and complicated, and Illustrator is expensive. Canva does also have an online tool for this, but it's once again a paid-for option. And this was the main reason that Midjourney wasn't suitable for creating logos that you could use professionally. You could create the initial idea, but couldn't get it into a format that you could then edit with the client's modifications, or provide it in a suitable final format for use. This meant that without this new tool, an AI-powered logo business just wasn't really possible. So let's get into making our first vector logo, using only Midjourney and other free online tools. So to make your logo, the first step is to create the basic image in Midjourney. At this stage, it's best to keep the logo in black and white, as you can add the colours later. So play around in Midjourney until you find an image you like, upscale it, and download it to your computer. And if you haven't used Midjourney before or aren't sure exactly how to do this, you might want to check out my beginner Midjourney tutorial here. Because we're going to turn this into an editable vector, you can ignore the random words and letters that Midjourney creates, because it's very simple to replace them later. So as long as you like the rough shape and any drawn elements in the logo, you're good to go. And this is where the magic happens. Hop on over to Vectorizer AI. This tool lets you convert any image into a vector completely for free. So select your image and Vectorizer will immediately convert it. As you can see, it's incredibly quick and the results look brilliant. You can move around and check out the comparison, or you can just go ahead and download the image. There are lots of options for the final download format, but for logos, the defaults are the best in my opinion, as they're closest to the final format you'd want for a professional logo. The next step will be to edit the text and colours and export our final asset. First though, I just want to take a moment to show you how well Vectorizer does at converting other types of images that are commonly made as vectors, because logos are just one use case of this process. So firstly, here's a flat minimal character. This style is commonly used in infographics or explainer videos, so they need to be vectors so that they can be animated in the videos. Equally, if you do like this style, you could just convert these images into vectors to scale them up and sell them as large high-res posters. You can see Vectorizer has actually done a great job at converting this image, and I don't really have anything bad to say about it. Rather than hiring an illustrator to create these images for you, you can now just create them yourself in minutes. Even more complex anime style images work really well too, so you could use Midjourney and Vectorizer to create anime or manga characters. You might need to do a little bit of editing to perfect these more complicated images, but the tool is doing 90% of the work. You can see in this example that some of the details in the eyes would benefit from a bit of tidying up, but still, this is so much simpler than retracing the entire image yourself and dramatically speeds up the creation process. Finally, icons are a no-brainer and work immediately, so you could create custom icons for your tool or project, or you could create icon packs to sell online. The fact that this is free and takes seconds to complete a process that used to take hours is honestly a bit nuts. Alright, back to our logo. Once you've downloaded the new SVG file, which is a common vector format, you have a fully editable vector logo. From here, you can go to figma.com and sign up for a free account if you don't already have one. Once you've done that, just create a new design file and drag and drop in your image. You can see that all the individual shapes, referred to as paths, are now editable and on their own layers. So you can go ahead and delete the dummy letters that Midjourney makes, add in the brand name and any other text that you want, and pick the brand colors. Finally, export the final asset, remembering to make sure you export it as an SVG again so we keep it in a vector format. Obviously in this example we're using Figma as it's free and works really well for vector images, but you could do the same thing in Adobe Illustrator or any other vector tool you like. The process will be exactly the same. Overall, I think this opens up a whole new area of what you can use Midjourney for, and shows how you can combine these tools to create more advanced, modern workflows that are quicker and easier than the manual processes we all relied on before. Regardless of if you're new to creating these images or a seasoned logo designer, I think you have to start using these tools now to retain any kind of competitive edge in a modern marketplace. And as I mentioned before, vectors aren't appropriate appropriate for all kinds of images. So if you have something like a photo or a more complex image and you want to print it, you're going to need to upscale that image to be a larger bitmap rather than converting it to a vector. And if you want to find out about free AI tools to let you do this, you can check out my video on that right here. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.